Be Frankie.
Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix. Yeah, I'm striving for greatness, trying to make it out. We're stuck in the matrix.
Ladies and gentlemen, today I got Conjure Queen. We got a divine feminine energy in the building, and we're going to be talking about the metaphysics and the occultic knowledge of a solar eclipse on a new moon. So we're going to dive into DNA activation, mind science technology, and how it applies to us as we transition into the year of 2025 and what it means. It is during this time period, during the time of Libra. So introduce yourself.
Peace, family. Conjure Queen here. And it is definitely a pleasure to be on this platform. Thank you, Beadell. Now, family, I just want to say that just like you, I went down that rabbit hole and never wanted to come back, okay? Like, I feel like my journey basically started with the Illuminati videos, studying the symbology, learning about the deep state, learning about the conspiracies. And as I delved deeper into my practice, I felt like I had nobody to connect with, nobody to talk to. So then I started to, well, because my family was Christian, right? Anybody else have Christian families, religious families? Like, I felt like I was the Black sheep, the outcast. Like, I was always looking for answers. I was always looking up at the sky. I always felt like I wasn't from here or that I was different. And then lo and behold, I started to find YouTube videos that was talking about like the Anunnaki, talking about like star seeds. We come from different dimensions. And then as I started to like delve deeper into my ancestry, I started learning like, wait a minute, like this is our stuff. These symbols, these occult things like come from us. And those in power just took that from us, gave us these false religions, and took out alchemy and magic and used that against us to keep the population asleep. So I vowed to make it my purpose, and Spirit came to me and said, it is my purpose to awaken our people. And not only that, but to activate our godlike DNA. So that is my mission. That is why I'm here. And on our platform, we teach you practical methods to break the matrix, to break out of this system. This physical body is just an avatar. The physical body is just a superhuman, it's a supercomputer, and we have to deprogram it. Just like computers get viruses, some of us are the anomaly or the hack in this matrix that's supposed to break it down. And so we do rituals, right? Like, we just don't think about it and ponder on the problems. Like, our purpose and our mission and what we talk about in our tribe and our community is to get solutions, practical solutions through rituals and methods. And we're going to tell you some of that in this video today, family. So yes, that is my story. That's how I have my YouTube platform, is my platform to educate, to teach and enlighten our people, just like Beadell is doing. Ashe.
I appreciate that. And guys, make sure you stick around for the video because we got something, special for you guys at the end of the video.
Yes.
So,
surprise.
Everything that you see taking place right now as we transition into the year of 2025, which is also the year of completion and finality, everything that's taking place right now is a transitional shift. So the solar eclipse is a multifaceted anomaly that's taking place. It represents rebirth, transformation. It represents balancement and things of that nature. So everything that's taking place right now is going to be a part of the real awakening. So when you understand the great majority of ancient mythologies and many different omens, it says right here verbatim that the eclipses are an omen of misfortune. Many of the beliefs that an eclipse is a negative event stem from ancient folklore. Some examples include ancient Greeks who thought that an eclipse was a sign from the gods, were displeased, and would bring misfortune upon humans. So what you think about that? Do you think that's basically in alignment for what's taking place right now? Because I understand that we live in a dualistic paradox, meaning that everything operates in polarity. So in my opinion, I don't think it's only subjected to a negative frequency, there's a positive aspect as well with it.
Agree. And to add on to that, I definitely agree with you. There's always a positive and a negative aspect in everything because this applies to the law of polarity, right? Because moralism is a human construct. Moralism is something that humans made, the elite made of good and bad just to keep the commoners or the average person in check, right? But when we think about the eclipses, the reason why they said eclipses were bad omens, this is actually a newer saying because if you do a little bit of digging into history, eclipses were really known to be a time of transformation and endings, but it was also represented by the ending of a certain reign or a kingdom, the time where one king reign was ending and a new king or a new ruler was rising up. So when you think about who was the one that was saying it was a time of misfortune, right? A ruler didn't want to give up their power, right? They didn't want to lose their strength. So now what we're seeing, because we're moving into this eclipse, right? This eclipse, this new moon that's in Libra, it deals with what? Libra deals with justice. Libra deals with the scales. Libra is Ma'at, the Kemetic goddess of justice, retribution. So this is also going to be applied on the macrocosmic level as well as the microcosmic level. So macro means that it's happening on the cosmic sphere with the astrals, the heavens, the planetary alignments, everything that's happening now. This entire month, me and B-Dell is going to get a lot deeper into it as we go into the video, so don't go nowhere, but we're going to talk about what's in store for this month as well, because the numerology of it, and I'm going to break down the tarot as well. I got my tarot cards here, family. We're going to break down how this Libra new moon and this solar eclipse is not only going to shift things as far as astrologically, but we're going to see the fall of this matrix, the fall of the government, the fall of the educational system, the fall of the health industry. Okay, there's a change and shift even happening with the economy. Okay, all this stuff is happening for a reason because we asked for this to happen. We call forth this to happen. We've been saying for the longest, we tired of this matrix. We tired of those in power that don't belong there to fall. So now we're seeing it, right? But it's going to be uncomfortable. Sometimes things get worse before it gets better. And if you look through history, right, like every civilization that fell in America is like Rome, okay, like another new Rome, like that is falling now. And it's falling for the real heirs, which is you, the chosen ones, divine royalty, who have the DNA activations ready to go. This sun, okay, is this eclipse is going to activate your DNA and wake the true gods up, because we're seeing these false leaders fall now. And it's time for you to rise up, for the true leaders and the true heirs to take their seat in their throne.
Facts. And that also coincides with Matthew's 26:10. The first shall be last and the last shall be first. So that's all the, the Bible thumpers out there, even though we don't rock with monotheistic religion, but sometimes you got to give people that edification because it basically applies to everything as far as like divine intervention is taking place.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
Now, when you look at this thing from a standpoint of numerology, so the solar eclipse is happening on October 2nd, 2024. So what I did was I took 10 plus 2 plus 24, you get 36. 3 plus 6 equals 9. And 9 is a representation that's basically associated with planet Mars, and Mars is associated with war. So like I said, 9 is a representation of completion, spiritual growth, passion, ambition, protection, and justice. So all these things happening right now is basically prophetic. Like I said, it's a transitional shift for those who was basically subjugated by the energy extraction matrix. It's time for us to come forth because, like I said, we are the true chosen ones. The true chosen ones have to take back the planet by way of the restoration of the matriarch. So what you got to say about that as far as your the numerology?
Excellent points. Now, numerology is an ancient science, okay? And they always tell us that we don't come into this world with instructions, but we did, right? Like you have your astrological natal chart that everybody that's watching this needs to know and go and check it out. It's free to find out your natal chart because this can guide you and teach you what's your purpose, what's your strengths, what's your challenges, okay? And what you're supposed to do in this physical incarnation while you're here serving life in the body, right? Because at the end of the day, when B-Dell is saying that this 9 energy, right? To kind of add on to that, this is a universal 8 year that we're in. How did I get that? Well, I added the 2024, right? So you add 20 plus 24, and then you break it down, you simplify it, and it adds up to an 8. Now, that 8 number, what is that 8 number? When you think about the 8 number in numerology, it deals with power, okay? It deals with power, it deals with karma, also going back into justice. Now, one thing that I want to mention is I don't know if you can see the card. Bidel, are you able to
Yeah, I will
pull
pull
up
it up
that
now.
picture so I can explain to people how numerology, astrology, and tarot is all linked up? Perfect. Thank you so much. So this is actually the Justice card and the Nefertari deck. And if you look closely, right, you understand that you see the numeral numbers on the top, the
Yes.
eight. Now,
Mm.
this is important because when you look at the different tarot systems, a lot of people follow the wrong system that actually tells them that the Justice card is represented by the number 11. This is incorrect. Okay, the tarot, many people don't realize this, and a lot of tarot readers don't realize this, but the tarot was never originally designed to be for fortune telling. The truth is, when the Crusades was going around killing millions of people, and they were killing the shamans, they were killing they was trying to kill the ancestors, the teachers, the real heirs, right? Basically, what they was trying to do was burn all of the libraries, and they took those books for themselves and they hid it in the Vatican. And what they don't tell you as well, right, is that when it comes to numerology, when it comes to the science, the 8 itself deals with power and exchange of power. So what's happening right now, family? We're seeing the wrong powers fall, and we're seeing the rightful heirs rise. And the reason why they shifted the numbers is because tarot was originally, back in the day, the Egyptians, right? That's what they call them, the Egyptians, but they had a negative word for it. They called them gypsies. Now, the gypsies, when the Crusaders were going around killing people, the shamans had to get together and they said, all right, listen, we got to find a way where we can still spread this knowledge and information, because we can't allow them to take this stuff and our descendants not know who they are and not get this information. So the mystics got together and they put their heads together and said, you know what? Let's put them into cards. People will never know. So that they got clever with it, and they put these rituals or tomes or tomes into these cards. And when they was going around traveling, people were thinking it was just telling fortunes or just playing cards, but that wasn't true. They was being discreet. Just like our ancestors got creative during slavery, and they had to synchronize the saints, the Catholic saints, with the Haitian Lua spirits, right? Or the Orisha spirits, our indigenous spirits that we worked with. So our people are very creative, and we still found a way to adapt today. But the truth of the matter is, our ancestors, we are the ancestors actually. We come back with all of this knowledge now because they put the tarot cards here to be information. You're supposed to utilize this information to elevate yourself. This is higher principles, higher knowledge, higher information. It never was used for tarot reading, but I mean for psychic readings, but people use it that way now. But I wanted to bring this up because if you look at the picture here, Ma'at, the woman is Ma'at. Now they say in the Egyptian or the Kemetic mystery schools that when you pass on, right, that your soul or your ba has to go through the underworld of Duat, and it has to weigh your heart on the scales to see how have you been living. Is your life, is your heart heavier than a feather? Now, the person that you see there is Jehudi or Thoth. Now, y'all should have read the Emerald Tablets, because Jehudi, and I'm pretty sure you speak about that too, Bido, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
Emerald Tablets. So
yeah.
listen, this picture right here, it's a reason why they say a picture says 1,000 words. There's the principles of the Emerald Tablets in there, the principles of balance, of karma, of duality, the universal principles. And family, listen, me and Beadell, this is why I love Beadell's content, because unlike other people who just be spewing nonsense and just regurgitating a TikTok or a reel that they saw, Beadell actually goes in and brings receipts. And this is why we bringing receipts today. I'm bringing receipts too. Now listen, the Kabbalion, if you don't got this book, this should be your Bible. You should know this book like the back of your hand and study the 7 universal principles. Point blank, period. And you being a Libra too, right? Like, I want to just see that those who are going to be most affected at this time is going to be Libras, Aquariuses, Capricorns, and Pisces. Because we are in an eight year, the whole entire year was about karma. We've been seeing mad celebrities fall. We've been seeing that list. Me and a few other conspiracy theorists been talking about a list for the longest, and everybody kept laughing and saying, "Oh, ain't no list. Y'all making this stuff up." And now, lo and behold, right, Vidal? Now, lo and behold,
Everything's coming out.
everything is coming out. Every single thing. And I'm here for it.
Now, as you were saying before, like, the year 2024 is a representation of karmic retribution. And as you can see at the top right here, you have the number 8 and the scales
Yes.
of justice and the scales of Mayat, and then you got Tahuti. And you also got to understand that the sigil of Tahuti is also a representation of the Hexa Alpha symbol. It's a divine union of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And it's kind of the same thing as far as the doctrine of signatures that's acclimated to the sun and the moon. So it's kind of like the unification process that creates that restoration. So that's why you see Tahuti on the scales of Mayat, because he represents the energetic frequency of the soul that's acclimated to the 7 principles. So, before we got interrupted, what's your take on that? On
Well,
the rest of the card?
so to add on to what you said, right? Like what Jehudi represents, I was saying before the thing had cut that when you look at these tarot symbols, right, because they weren't originally meant for fortune telling, they were meant for higher principles and understanding. They say that a picture has 1,000 words. It's a reason why they say that. Now, when we look into alchemy, like the science of the metaphysics and transforming yourself from base metal to gold, they wasn't really talking about base. They was talking about transforming your low-level beast-like self, right? Your human self before you turn into consciousness and you turn on. When you turn online and your powers come on, you start going through the alchemical fires. You got to purge yourself because you can't go and weigh your heart on the scales if you still have that lead, which is the heaviest base metal. You got to be light and turn into gold, the sun, right? Now, when we look at this symbol, this is also alchemy. Now, Mercury representing salt, and then sulfur, the goddess here, Ma'at, she represents the spiritual aspect of what's happening. And they say that Libra itself is correlated in alchemy, where Mercury, which is Jehudi, representing the intellect, the mind, study, and communication, right? The scribe and record keeping. Jehudi represents Mercury, and Ma'at represents sulfur. Now, sulfur represents the soul or the spirit, the Ka or the Ba, and Jehudi represents the mind. Now, what do we see in this picture here in the tarot card is basically saying that with this Libra energy, the 8 energy, we're seeing the fusion of the mental or the logical self, the logical mind, the left brain, and the fusion of the spiritual self, the higher spirit, and the right brain, the physical, the physical and the spiritual, the intellectual and the intuitive is happening right now. And so it's blending together. And when we become whole, the masculine and feminine energies, the yin and yang, your darkness and light, right? Talking about that shadow work, becoming friends with your shadow instead of running from your shadow. That's when you become complete. And that 9 energy that you was talking about, Vidal, to add on to that 9 energy is also represented by Mars, but also completion. Now in the tarot, right? In the tarot, when you talk about the 9 number, when you talk about the different suits, and when you talk about the cards that have 9 on it, it talks about the ending of that cycle. We're ending the cycle of the old paradigm. We are already in a new timeline, okay? And the person that you thought that you were, you're shedding. That's why you're probably going through these emotional imbalances. Libra comes to help balance you. But before you could become balanced, whatever is hiding or in the subconscious, the shadow self, it has to come up to the surface because we can't go through anything or overcome anything until we face it and confront it. And we're confronting our shadows now as we are in Libra season, right before we go into the underworld like Persephone did, right? Going into the underworld, or Ra, going into Duat or the underworld through transformation to purify the soul through the alchemical fires, going through the energy of Ma'at. to rise up again and be renewed. This is your story. They're talking about you, the Bible revelations, because B. Dell was talking about the Bible, right? I just want to also say, family, there's a really good book that you should check out called The Gnostic Scriptures. Okay, the Gnostic Scriptures. They
Mm.
have several different copies. You can get it on Amazon, family. I also put the link below. B-Dell could probably just link it for y'all so y'all can check out the books. But all of this information is out there, but you have to seek it. Okay, the Gnostic Scriptures predate Christianity. The Gnostic teachings. Goes back to ancient Kemet, these mystery schools. So yes, we are in an 8th year, but going into October, this is Hoodoo Heritage Month. This is a reason why they call this the spiritual month. And not only that, but this is the harvest season. 8 is synchronized as well with Saturn. That Saturn energy represented by the sickle. Okay. Also, the sickle comes to also harvest. What is it harvesting? It's bringing forward whatever seeds that you have planted. You're starting to see it now. So if anybody did you wrong, anybody hurt you, we're going to start seeing exes coming back.
Facts.
Okay, so y'all probably already seen people from the past trying to come back because they feeling that karma whoop their ass. That's what's happening. Okay, they getting a first hand beat down by karma, my aunt herself. Exes coming back, issues from the past, but listen, you got to let go of that. If it ain't serving you, let it go, boo boo.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead. Oh, and one last thing. This is a really good book called Numerology and the Divine Triangle. I would definitely recommend getting this book if you're thinking about learning about numerology, understanding the science between how astrology, numerology, and the tarot all play into one thing. It's going to take your spiritual elevation to a whole nother level, family.
Facts. And like I said, the number 9 is the final single digit number and represents the end of a cycle. So it's the year of completion. So we're going through that great purification process. So there's a time, like you said, it's based upon shedding. Now, I did some historical context that's acclimated to the solar eclipse. So you had in 1453 that you had the fall of Constantinople when they had a solar eclipse during that time period. So, like I said, you're looking at a collapse of a system. You're looking at the collapse of a demiurge. The demiurge is being eradicated by these new energies that's hitting the planet. We have 2 moons in our solar system from September 29th to November 25th. Then you also have the 4 gas giant planets supposed to be having a configuration around the planet from October 24th all the way up to April 5th. So you got all these energies on the planet that's basically exposing everything. So the veil is, officially lifted. So all this stuff is, when you're talking about the Roman occupational government, the Ottoman Empire, all these systems that was created by way of colonization, we in the 8th year. So America is also acclimated to that same energy. Everything that they built is based upon witchcraft. It's based upon colonization. It's based on destabilization. So now we in the 8th year, everything has to, revert back into its original balance. Mayat, like you said. So that's why the solar eclipse, the annual solar eclipse, the Ring of Fire, it is basically the symbology of the restoration process. It's justice, karmic retribution. So I just wanted to, look at, give people the historical context and to show them that, that's basically in alignment with the fall of certain civilizations.
Definitely so.
Uh-oh. Then you also, in this slide, as I was telling you before, the Hexa Alpha symbol is basically the divine union of the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse. That's basically, the basis on how basically the blueprint on how to basically ascend out of this plane. So, like I said, based upon the scales of Maya, if you got a weight of heart, it has to be light as a feather. So it's one of those things where it's acclimated to the celestial bodies. So it tells you right here, the lunar uncovering which is hidden, realizing that is which doesn't serve you, increasing your intuitive awareness as well as divination and wisdom. And then you got the solar energy, new beginnings, which is transformation, all types taking initiatives, new jobs, new ideas, positive energy, change, luck, growth, and abundance. So, like I
Mm,
said, we in that transitional shift. Everything that this system was built upon was based upon fraud. Everything that basically subjugated the energy of the indigenous people. Everything that they built on their system, as far as the Piscean Age of Darkness, everything that they basically built actually, goes against the matriarch. So we're in that time right now. So all these energies, these celestial alignments is acclimated to the timeline of eschatology. So you got the eclipses bring about changes, creates the potential for swift and intense transformation and growth. So we in that time right now. So like she said, Conjure Queen, if you ain't did your motherfucking shadow work, you're gonna feel these energies. Like I said, we got 2 moons in our solar system, so it's gonna activate the over emotionalism if you haven't if you haven't did your shadow work. Basically, it's gonna
mm,
basically expose everything that you was basically hiding in the karmic
mm.
year.
That's a fact. Everything that was hidden is coming to the light right now. And the fact that it's on my mind while you're talking about the moons and it's up here,
Mhm.
ladies, understand that eclipses is the time when your moon cycle will be off balance. So there's a lot of women who may get their cycle twice in 1 month.
Mm.
And there's some people who might actually miss a cycle. So if your cycle is missing, ladies, don't freak out. Don't get scared. Okay. Like it's really just the eclipse that's altering your body. Because this is also proof too, right, Vito? Where people be like, oh, astrology is just mysticism and superstition. But what people don't understand is like astrology was literally a real science back in those days, right? Like it's a real actual science. And it shows that the movements of the stars, as above, so below, it affects us, our physical body, right? Not just women, but men as well. Because women, we were known to be synchronized with the moon, the lunar energies. And everybody, most people know that, yes, women were synchronized with time and the moon, like certain months we would change. And if you're a Cancer like myself, like for us, our moods can change every 2 to 3 days because we're synchronized with the moon. The signs, the moon changes into signs every 2 to 3 days,
Mm.
right? So you got to also understand too that your women are ruled by the moon. And men also have cycles as well, just like women do. And this is not talked about, but men are actually more correlated with the solar cycles. So we have the full moon, the new moon, the waning moon, the waxing moon, the different moon cycles, right? The lunar eclipse, the solar eclipse, and so forth. And then what men are actually, since this solar energy is being combined with this lunar energy, is literally symbolic of the masculine divine, the divine masculine and the divine feminine merging into one creation energy. And a lot of people are going to start feeling that. Now, if men notice, there's a reason why when men wake up in the morning, they have what? Morning wood. That is when a man's energy is the most powerful. And honestly, this is the time when he's up, he's ready. Like men are wired biologically different than women. This is why men can operate much more efficiently with less sleep, right? Because they're being fueled by the power of the rays of the sun. So there's different phases of the sun, and based upon what angle the sun is in the sky can determine the psychological, the physical, and the energetic power of a man. So men have most of their energy between the hours of dawn when the sun is just coming up and noon. Okay, and
Mhm.
then the energy starts waning at night. So we never really this is a side lip though, but people mostly make love at night, but you're really supposed to be making love in the morning, right? Like before you can go to work, you're like, hold on, baby, let me just, before you go to work, because that's that creative energy. That's when you guys can manifest the most powerful list right then and there.
That's a
Just had to
fact.
throw that out there because people may not know that men also get moody and their moods and their energies are affected. Their productivity is affected based upon where the sun is in the sky. So men are also going to be affected by the solar eclipse. Some people may be feeling tired. Men may feel very tired at this time.
That's a fact because I'm glad as far as like tantric sex or whatever, that's very important as far as like manifestation. Because when you have these gamma radiations that's causing, that's connecting with the ionosphere, that is the time when you're supposed to be manifesting. Like you said, you say people say that you're supposed to be having sex at night. You're really supposed to be doing it in the morning time. That's the time of manifestation. that's the time to basically amalgamate your manifestations with the ethers to where they're able to materialize in physical form. So,
Mm, well said.
oh,
Also, while he's going to the next slide, I want to just mention too that since we're in this time of Libra and the new moon with this eclipse, be very cautious of drinking alcohol. Make sure that you're hydrating your body. Some people may be feeling very thirsty or dehydrated because Libra also rules the kidneys. So be very careful of the governments or the media, social media trying to pull at your emotions. The kidneys also deals with the sacral chakra, since you mentioned about sex, right? Your sexual energy may be pulled at, or your emotions may try to do a ritual. They always do rituals around this time, right? Like trying to get black outrage by either like some police brutality or killing a black man, and then people will go outrage on it, or something with some type of celebrity drama to pull at your emotions and keep you distracted from getting these actual rays that's coming in, that's going to activate our DNA and turn us into true superheroes. But I
and
just wanted to mention that.
I'm glad you brought that up because, like I said, that is all part of the destabilization process when you're talking about the New World Order. Because they had that the chemical spill in Atlanta. I'm gonna pull
Oh,
this
I
up
heard
for
about
you.
that. I heard
Yeah.
about that.
So you got this
Crazy.
going on. So, like you said, it's gonna affect the air and it's gonna affect the water. So,
Mhm.
like I said, during this time period, you got to be very meticulous about all the semantics and the technology that they're going to propagate to, the great majority of people. Because, like she said, this is the time of DNA activation. So, everything that they do is based on neutralizing and destabilizing. So, you got to be very meticulous about what's going on. So, I'm gonna play this video here to give you guys a brief of what's going on and how they're basically trying to destabilize the awakening process.
Mhm.
That's in Atlanta, Georgia, or
Crazy.
on the outskirts of Atlanta, Georgia. So we in that time right now. We're gonna get into the mind science technology aspect of it when we're talking about DNA activations. Later on in the presentation. But like I said, this is all they're gonna hit you with many different black swan events. They're gonna hit us with all types of afflictions to basically subjugate these energies that's coming to the planet.
Mhm.
Now,
Wasn't it just a flood too in Atlanta, or a
yeah,
hurricane?
they had Hurricane Helen.
Oh my God, it's flooding.
Hurricane Helen. I think, like I said, we live in a energy extraction matrix, and it's a form of harvesting the energy and the frequency and the vibration of humans on the planet. Now, according to many different mythologies or whatever you look at it, the moon is a representation of the material plane. So when you had the two moons in the atmosphere, that basically heightened the energy by pulling on the tides of the planet. So you had the Hurricane Helen pretty much, eradicated the great majority of North Carolina, and then it trickled down to Atlanta, and then you have some parts of Florida. So, like I said, these energies is here. You got to be very meticulous and understand what's going on right now. So that is all a part of the destabilization process of the New World Order system that's going to be amplified by the United Nations because like I said, these energies is collapsing the demiurge. The demiurge is basically comprised of the third dimension and the lower fourth dimension.
Mhm.
So these energies is like I said, is basically dematerializing the illusion. The veil is lifted. So they got to hit you with distraction after distraction, celebrity
Mhm.
gossip. They got to hit you with from every which way, calamities. So be very meticulous about what's going on because as you can see in this picture, it's all about a global governance, one world order.
Mm.
So what you got to
That
say about
spell
that?
is breaking. I was just about to add on to what you just said that, you know, going back into why they demonize our ancestral powers and our rituals and our magic, right? Like the reason they did that was because just like our ancestors have rebelled and fought back, right? Like the Haitians fought back the French with their voodoo. And people don't notice, but the Indian wars that actually took place here in the 1600s in the Americas, in North America, actually predated the Haitian Revolution. And it was actually the Indians that was actually fighting here. I'm from Brooklyn, New York, and this whole entire area is a war zone. Like this is where the Indian Wars took place. This is where the American Revolution took place. And it's still like over 10,000 bodies, dead bodies that's like buried in Fort Greene Park. A lot of people don't even know about that. But basically, yeah, it's a lot of crazy stuff going on. But basically, what I'm trying to say is that all of these frequencies, everything that's happening right now, they know that people are waking up. They did a sleeping spell pretty much to keep everybody asleep. The same magic and mysticism and stuff they told you was evil to stay away from, your ancestors used this to fight them back. But because we stopped tapping into our magic, we stopped tapping into our power, we stopped tapping into the tools that was allowing us to activate our DNA, our power shut down. It's just like when you don't use a certain muscle, it atrophies until you start working it out again. So that's what's happening. It's like we haven't been using that psychic muscle for thousands of years. And it's like now all of the information that our ancestors had planted, whether it was in the monuments, in the books, encrypted in our DNA. The information is in our DNA. And what people don't even realize is that our ancestors used to use crystals as memory cards and store their information in the crystal and pass it down to their descendants because they didn't speak or write down the formulas and the magic. Everything was orally passed down, telepathically passed down, or put it in a crystal. So to add on to that, yes, Bedell, they are trying to keep us asleep. They are trying to keep us distracted, but more people are starting to wake up. And those people who are aware, what was the guys? I can't even think of the guys. I think it was Caesar or Seymour, but the guy in the Matrix who knew he was in the Matrix, but he was like, you know what? I know this thing ain't real, and but I want to go back into the Matrix. It's going to be a lot of people like that, right? They're going to be like, I don't want to wake up. Like, I don't want to shift. This is what I believe in. They're stuck in this cognitive dissonance where their spirit knows this isn't right, but their ego is still chasing behind this illusion. And that illusion, that split, well, we kept talking about the earth is splitting. There's going to be two earths, there's two moons, all of this duality of twos, splitting, the balance of my aunt, dealing with the duality again. All of this is coming up to pretty much show you that the old powers are dead, is done. We already won, right? Like everything that happens in the astral and the spiritual realms, it happens before we actually see it manifest in the physical. This is just you could say a replay or a shadow effect of what we're seeing because there's wars happening. Something's hitting my spirit right now, Bida. I gotta say this. I'm channeling a message that there's also wars that's happening in the sky, in the spiritual realms, as well as under earth. People always look up in the sky looking for space, but they don't even realize that right under the water, there's UFOs, aliens, weird creatures, wars happening. That earthquake happened in New York. When was that? That was around the time of the eclipse. I think it was right before the eclipse or after the eclipse. We had a crazy earthquake here in New York City, and we never get earthquakes here. And something was hitting my spirit saying that wasn't a regular earthquake. There's wars happening underneath our feet in a whole tunnel system. New York City has a whole bunch of tunnel systems, and people that work in the NTA, some of my friends that I know personally told me that they seen some weird things down there that they can't even talk about. And there's a movie called Midnight Meat Train. I would definitely recommend everybody check out that movie because it talks about these creatures, these reptilian creatures that are ancient for years, sleeping underneath in the tunnels, hidden tunnels all around the world, but more specifically in New York City. And the government knows about it, and they have to feed them those missing children, those missing people. Oh yeah, they're being fed to these creatures in these tunnels in New York City. And if they don't feed them after a certain amount of time, they come up. So it's an agreement that the government has, a contractual agreement with these beings to keep them dormant and sleep. But during the pandemic, when all of that, the pandemic, when all of that stuff was happening, they weren't being fed. And a lot of these creatures was coming up. That's why a lot of people was talking about seeing these occurrences all around the world, these strange creatures. Now all of these new animals and new sea creatures are emerging now. People are seeing mermaids and stuff coming out of the sea. There's going to be a lot of this stuff happening, more of it. So get ready, family, because it's about to get real. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Well, I want to hear more, one of the stories. What they seen in the tunnel systems.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
We
I
gotta hear
want to
that.
get your channel. I don't know what I can say on some. Okay, so
Like we just, kind of keep it, speaking code basically.
I'll try. But one of the things that they saw, they told me that, sometimes in New York City, if anybody lives in New York City or you come to New York City, the train system is just the worst in the world. Okay. It's filthy, it's disgusting. And all of the time, they have to close down certain tunnels. More specifically, in downtown Brooklyn, the same place I told you I'm from, where there's all of these dead bodies and hauntings and ley lines. Well, in this cursed energy area, in Hoyt Street, right? There's a train station, the A train, the A and G train on Hoyt Street. And everybody I know in Brooklyn, that's a very weird station. Weird people will be channeling, people will be having possessions. And not only that, but they have a certain track that they always keep blocked off. And I used to always wonder, like, if you look down that track, it's very ominous. And it's a reason why they don't want certain people going in certain tunnels. My friends, certain people that work in the NCA told me like they saw apparitions.
Mm.
Okay. Like thing a being, matter of fact, something that's similar to that the situation that happened. Was it earlier this year in Miami where like these tall
Yeah,
alien that was this year, right? That
yeah,
happened? That's
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
It's like the timelines are shifting so much. It feels like time is weird now. It's like I don't know if it's this year, last year, but what I'm saying is it was something like that. It was like he said like a tall figure that looked like a humanoid, but it wasn't. And it was like he seen it, but then it was like it disappeared. It
Mm.
was like in the physical, but it was in the 3D. It was like in between realms, but he could see it. And he was like, that wasn't the first time he's seen something like that in that station. And he was like, as a matter of fact, he asked to transfer out because he didn't want to do that at night anymore. He was like, it's too much creepy shit happening here. Like at nighttime, that's why I don't like taking the trains at night in New York because you see some shit. And me growing up here, I've seen a lot of weird stuff downtown Brooklyn.
Mm. That kind of makes me think that they got that whole mythology of the Ninja Turtles. I wonder if they was talking about draconian reptilians in those tunnels. You never
Okay,
know.
you on to something. You on
Even
to
though
something.
even though it's a turtle, but it's still a form of it's a reptile, I guess you could.
Right.
So,
Mm-hmm.
but
Vivian,
yeah,
right.
based upon the configuration of geomancy, like I said, you got certain parts of the planet that's in alignment with certain ley line grid systems to where these entities, non-corporeal entities, they have to live in certain parts of the planet to where they're not exposed. So, as you were saying before, the elites, they have to everything is transactional with these archonic forces. So, that's why, I think those Uish people, they got caught in Brooklyn. Was it Brooklyn or Harlem or Manhattan when they
What
found the
people? The
tunnels?
blue people?
The Uish people.
Bluish people.
Remember they got caught with those tunnels in I think it was in
Yes. I remember. I
so so
remember.
that's so
Oh,
that's
yes.
basically in alignment with what you basically talking about. Like, because that tunnel
Mhm.
system, like I said, everything we all know who runs the planet. We know a certain demographic and faction who controls, all, the United Nations and things of that nature. We know who's in control. That's the cursed seed. So they got to give it's an energy extraction. They got to do everything is basically transactional to keep some type of temporal power on the planet, but their time is basically ran out. Now we're going to get into the DNA activation. Now, one thing you got to understand is that a solar eclipse has the ability to take you to a different space and time. Now, when you go to the cuneiform language and you break down the word Bathari gland, the prefix of the word is Bara. Bara takes you to a different space and time. But the Bathari gland is acclimated to the hippocampus layer of the brain that's connected to your four higher senses, which is psychometry, clairvoyance, intuition, telepathy, telekinesis, and other abilities. So during this time period, like I said, you should be purging yourself. You should be working out, getting some water in your body, uh, going to the steam room, getting massages, so where you can get all those energy blockages out, to where your body is able to absorb these energies to basically revitalize the DNA structure that was subjugated by these energies. because I was telling people before on one of my transmissions that there's a lot of people who don't have the ability to think outside the box, and the box is the holonomic brain theory. It's an encryption over the brain, and that encryption in itself is basically uh, subjugating the aspect of you being in alignment to unlock those genetical codes. And that energy is the vesicular monomind transporter 2 gene. It gives you the propensity to believe in things outside of yourself. So these energies that's coming in, you're no longer going to believe the celebrity, the politician. It's going to force you to go within. So this is the time period where we're supposed to be transforming our DNA sequence, and we should also should be transforming our neurological capacity.
Facts.
So, but yeah, this is all, connecting the esoteric aspects of it when you're looking at religion. Like I said, you also have the trilateral connection of the triune brain, which is the hypothalamus gland, pineal gland, and pituitary gland. And this is also connected to the brain and central nervous system melanin that activates the carbon and the neuroendocrine transducer. So this is the chemical key in order to unlock those energies. So everything, excuse me, all this stuff that's happening right now, as she said, as above, so below. Everything that's taking place right now is to unlock those codons.
And I want to just add on to what you go ahead, Vito. You was going to say something?
No, go ahead. You can interject.
I was going to add on. Can you put the image of the brain back up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So it's hitting my spirit while you was also saying it made me think of something, right? Like when we think about the brain, there's many different parts, but people should remember this, right? To simplify it. Now, there is the reptilian brain, which deals with the basic survival instincts, right? Your fight, flight, or freeze. How do you react, right? Everybody has this. This is like instinctual. And then after that is your limbic brain, right? The limbic part of the brain, which really deals with like your intuition or your emotions. Okay, like this is what they try to keep you stuck either in your reptilian brain in the root chakra, trying to survive, trying to pay bills, trying to just get up, go to work, and take care of the basic responsibilities without actually elevating and going to the next phase, which is number 3, the higher mind, the intellectual mind, the neocortex. Okay, this is the mind, this is the part of the brain where you actually can conceptualize and intellectualize what it is that you're feeling. Okay, because a lot of people, human beings, we got to realize that naturally, humans are animals that are like they operate from the reptilian brain, instinctual or emotional creatures, right? Human beings are emotional creatures. It takes practice and it takes intention for you to calm your emotions down. And once you're able to control your emotions, that is when you are able to elevate to the higher mind, which is the cognitive mind, where you can put all of it together, your instincts, your intuition, your emotions, and your intellect together. So that way you can form higher knowledge and you can activate your DNA. Because if have you stuck in fear, what does it do? Stress, it releases cortisol. When you have a whole bunch of cortisol going on throughout your body, the hormones don't allow your DNA to expand and stretch, which leads actually to your evolvement, right? You have to evolve and grow into the godlike body or goddess body that you are. And that's why they keep you on social media, scrolling nonstop with your emotions, pulling every which way. As soon as you wake up in the morning, you open your phone and your emotions are already being pulled when you're really supposed to be setting your intention on what you want it to be today. Because best to believe the subconscious mind is always open and listening. And when you don't program it, somebody else or something else is. And that's what we always talk about. We talk about you taking control of your life, reprogramming your mind, and taking control of your reality. Because the universe is mental, all is mind. And once you got control of your mind, you got control of the world, baby.
Facts. And everything that she said basically displays the fact that it can cause DNA damage, right? So you have the reconfiguration process with immortalized cell lines that's connected to the cytoplasm. So that's when you get the repairment of the neural synapses that's connected to the hippocampus layer of the brain, to where you can activate the Bathari gland that's connected to the 4 higher senses. As I was telling you before, the Bathari gland, bara means to take you to a different space and time. The different space and time, which is based upon the transitional shift the sun and the moon and in all these celestial bodies in these alignments. So like I said, it's based upon a configuration. So not only is our genetics is upgrading, the planet is upgrading as well. So like
Yep.
I said, we are a microcosm of the macrocosm. Uh,
Right. And
oh,
people, the earth is alive. Like it's a actual living being.
facts,
It's a rock floating through space.
most definitely. And then this time period, this is where you're going to have that great separation. You're going to have to pick a side because
Mm,
everything is pretty evident right now. We could see who's, what the celebrities and the politicians are basically propagating. We can see what they're doing, and we can see the types of people who are acclimated to that ideology. So, like I
right.
said, it's either red or blue pill. You got to pick a side because it's going to be a dimensional split. You're going to have to separate from family members, ex-boyfriends, girlfriends. You're going to have to separate from many different people because as this demiurge, this Roman occupational government, this third density reality, as it's crumbling, a lot of people are going to have an emotional attachment to it. And if you're
Mm,
vibrating on the same frequency as them, they're going to pull you down with the system. So that's why it's imperative to understand that you got to pick a side, pick the side of right knowledge.
that's a fact. And I want to just add on to what you said about relationships, right? Like picking a side with your family and exes. Now, remember, family, Libra deals with relationships. It deals with that Venusian energy. So this also means that you have to make a choice. And it's not easy, right? Because sometimes, like Toni Morrison said, if you want to fly, you got to let go of the ish that weighs you down. And sometimes we get so comfortable with the people around us that spirit is literally telling you to let this person go, let this job go, let this situation go, right? The people, places, possessions, let them go that don't serve you anymore, but you want to still hold on. And the longer you hold on to that person, place, or possession or thing, the more it's going to hurt. So you have to let it go. And listen, a lot of us are elevating. So you may outgrow your friends. You may outgrow your lover. Even some people, a lot of people, my clients, they come to me and they tell me, Conjure Queen, you know what? I'm going through the spiritual journey. I'm learning, I'm elevating, but my partner, they don't want to grow. They don't want to elevate with me. And they've probably been together for years, okay? And so they feel like they have a loyalty to this person. But let me explain something to you. You was born into this world by yourself. You have to learn the art of detachment. This is what the Buddhists and all of the ancients was talking about. They was basically telling you, like, it's going to come a point in time. You got to remember, you had several incarnations. This is not your first time coming here, right? Like you had several mothers, you had several fathers, you had several families, you had several relationships that you probably don't even remember in other past lifetimes. So why is this one so significant?
Hmm.
And that's what, whenever I come back and I think about that, when I start getting too attached to something, I got to remember, like, I'm not taking this with me when I leave. Because at
Right.
the end of the day, what really matters here, you can't take your money, you can't take none of these possession stuff. No. What matters is the knowledge that you acquire and how much did you evolve your soul. Because what you did in past lives determine who and what you are now. And the fact that you watching this channel, you subscribe to it, watching this video, it says that you're not just the average person. You've been doing this work for some time. And what I found is that a lot of us, we've known each other in a past life. And this is like us coming back together again. The old gods, the old shamans, the old teachers. It's like now we're rising back up during this time of the end of the Kali Yuga, which was the time of destruction and pestilence and war. And now it's the golden era where now the ones who will last is going to be first, the chosen ones. Revelations was talking about us. The beast that's rising out of the pit they talking about, they were talking about you. The old gods coming up. The Bible was switched around. They demonized you. You the demons that they're afraid of. You the one that's going to destroy their world to
Right.
bring a new one.
Mm-hmm.
Just
And
wanted to add that in, but
that's
you
a
made me
fact.
think about that.
That's a fact because I remember I was telling you over the phone, we have to tap into our ancient languages. These tonal octave frequencies have the ability to manipulate the cosmic energy grid system to where it basically causes a interface transition. So the more the chosen ones speak truth to power, it will reverse the polarity. That's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of the awakening processes, which is why they subjugated the energy of the hippocampus layer of the brain where you get your four higher senses. So if you had those four abilities, you would be able to speak directly to your ancestors like in real time, literally.
Mhm.
But like I
Yeah.
said, it's kind of like, the Bathory gland and the hippocampus layer of the brain, it is basically like the antenna to the cosmos. It's kind of like, if basically the great majority of people on the planet, when they was born, the hippocampus layer of the brain was pretty much compromised. You were spiritually cut off. So that, pretty much gave you the propensity to believe in certain things outside of yourself because now you have a disconnection. So like I said, we in that time right now, we going through a great reset. And that reset, is where you have the ones that speak in truth of power. You got all the healers, everybody's coming back by way of the cosmic convergence.
Right.
So,
And you said something really interesting, Bedell, about being able to communicate with your ancestors in real time. There are actually ways where we can still utilize certain modalities, mantras,
mm,
certain mudras, right? Like anybody in here watch anime? Like anime been teaching us all of the sciences. Like the Japanese, they know these occult sciences, like the mudras with your hands, we're pretty much teaching you how to utilize certain meridians, right? We have chakras in our hands. And so by doing certain hand gestures, like we're activating certain energies in our brain. Because when you study palmistry, they tell you that certain points or power points, even in acupuncture, they say like certain parts of the body can activate certain meridians, certain powers, certain chi flows, and spiritual chakras. It opens up your spiritual gifts and powers so you can use rituals and modalities. There are still ways to tap into these powers. It's just knowledge that has been forgotten. And this is what I teach my family. I teach us how to use these practical rituals so that way you can break out of this matrix, activate your mind, right? Like Vidal is saying, you got to activate certain parts of your brain so you can be able to communicate with your ancestors in real time because you can do it now. You just forgot how to. It's all about remembering because the knowledge is already there, right? It's about bringing it into the conscious mind, merging the subconscious with the conscious, the physical with the spiritual.
facts. That's why you got to activate that epikinetic body. So,
Yeah.
like I said, you got all these celestial alignments. Then we had the lunar eclipse. I think when was that? September 18th and the 19th.
Mhm.
So that was basically the the dematerialization of the age of the Piscean age of darkness. So, like I said, we're going through a transitional shift. All
Mhm.
these anomalies that's happening on the planet is not by accident because the archonic forces they control this energy extraction matrix with the seven deadly sins, which is lust, gluttony, greed, sloth, wrath, envy, and pride. And the archons are basically the ones that create this tyrannical system that limits the agencies who rule over humanity and creation in order to enhance their own self-importance and glory. So like I said, you live in a energy extraction system. This system is basically crumbling. The collapse of the demiurge is by way of these celestial alignments. It's going to activate us. And like she said, that's what they're afraid of. So
Yeah.
it's imperative to understand that, during this time period, you also got the four gas giant planets. You got the four gas giants, I think it's Jupiter, Pluto, Uranus, and Neptune. And it's going to create a configuration around planet Earth where there's going to have an influx of gamma radiation. So that gamma radiation is basically acclimated to the symbology of the four horsemen of the apocalypse.
Mm.
So when you had that
Right.
gamma radiation merging in with the four basic elements, earth, air, water, fire, what you think is going to happen? More earthquakes, more
Mhm.
floods, more calamity. It's going to, affect the ecology and the ecosystem of the planet Earth. So these energies is not only, going to destabilize their system, it's gonna, basically activate the planet and it's gonna activate us because we're basically by way of birthright, we have an ethereal core that's connected to the planet. So what's your take on that? Because like I said, as far as like the black horse, as far as the four horsemen, the black horse is a representation of justice, balance. So when you look at the dark horse, it shows you the scales of Mayat.
So you talking about these horses is making me think of one really good book called Behold the Pale Horse,
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right, like it talks about how the pale horse basically represents death, and each horse represents a certain calamity that's going to happen. And pretty much everything that you're saying about all of these different elementals, right? Like when we deal with when we deal with magic or we deal with alchemy or we deal with these ancient sciences. And I want to just demystify when we say magic, right? Like it's not something scary or evil. Like this is just natural energy that comes from the earth that is alive. And you can utilize these energies and harness these energies to do good, to heal. So those who are empowered, they utilize these energies and the knowledge that our ancestors taught them for wickedness. This is why the science was sacred and not given to everybody, because in given in the wrong hands, look what they did to the world. Okay, they ruined it. So now it's like we got to take back these energies. And yes, because the chosen ones are waking up and because the system is crumbling, Earth is waking up. Earth is shifting. Earth, I've been saying this so long that Earth is waking up again. The volcanoes that have been dormant and sleep for thousands of years have been activating. I've been seeing tons of videos going viral about all over the world. These volcanoes are opening. And didn't they even say in the Emerald Tablets that the pyramids will activate again? Okay. The mounds, they're finding what they found like over 1,000 islands that popped up in Japan like about 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, that was 2 years ago.
Right. During the pandemic, it was like thousands of islands is popping up. And some even people say like that these islands or certain land masses or like Lumeria and Atlantis and Mu and all of these ancient lands, it's like part of them is floating back up again. But this is symbolic because if these land masses disappeared and now they're reappearing again, what is that symbolically talking about? It's talking about the missing parts or the memories that have been lost is remerging or coming back again. Because remember just basically means to remember, to put things back. We got to study etymology because spells is really just words, right? Word magic. And this is hitting my mind right now, Bidel, to kind of go back what you was talking about, like us changing our language, like the English language being a bastard language and being weak. When we talk about like Egypt and ancient Kemet and the indigenous practices and languages, their vibration, the language that they had, it had a certain different vibration and frequency that they can speak things into existence and it would just manifest. And they call this power, right? Like they say that some people still have this gift, the gift of Hakau, right? The Hakau is the spoken word, your ability to chant things into existence. That's why in ancient Kemet, they would say, may your Hakau be ever blessed. May your Hakau be ever in your favor, or something similar to that nature, saying, may all of your manifestations and your words be sweet and pleasant. And you had to go through certain levels of initiations, and you had to go through like they had to size you up. Anybody couldn't just come on a platform and speak, right? Because they knew how powerful it was. So you had to be scrutinized and cross-referenced before you came on a platform and started talking about knowledge or truth and teaching people. Now we don't even have that anymore, where anybody who got a phone could just come online and start spewing all of this misinformation. So it's a lot happening right now, Dell, where it's like there's the agents, right? There's a lot of agents rising up and implants in the conscious community that's literally put here to drive you away from waking up, right? The whole New Age, the Jesus movement. I did a video talking about that. That went viral because it's like you have these people that come into the conscious movement teaching and stuff, and then they tell you, oh no, listen, don't do this stuff no more. I thought this was the right way, but no, you got to go this way to Jesus. You got to stop following this knowledge stuff. This is what it's like it's like conflicting information, it's confusing people. And now is the time, like Bidel was saying, you gotta use your discernment. Discernment is key right now. Who's your real friends? Who's your enemies? Who's the agents? Okay.
And on top of that, be very meticulous of people within the conscious community telling you to go vote, especially vote for Kamala.
Oh my God.
That don't, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's like multiplying any number by zero. You know what I'm saying? But as far as, there's no evolution in that, because we all know that everything that's acclimated to the Republic of a matriarch, everything that was based on oral tradition, basically. But like I said, we are living in that time right now. You got to separate from certain factions. Then going all the way back into, you were talking about the language. That is, in my opinion, I think that's going to be the precursor to the fact to where we basically reverse the polarity of everything, because all ancient Moabite language, ancient Proto-Semitic language. It has an octave frequency that activates the olfactory nerve. The olfactory nerve in the brain is connected to the right brain. The right brain is where you get 90%, is the 90% that's not activated. So that's basically the spirit of Melchizedek, basically, which is also Tahuti or Thoth, whatever mythology that you're basically following. So that's another way to look at it. These energies of our ancient Proto-Semitic languages, like I said, it has a octave frequency, has an ethereal energy. It has an ethereal energy that can basically activate and stimulate parts of the brain. So that's another way to tap into creating that type of energy to basically eradicate this whole process of this New World Order system.
Do you think we'll ever get to the level, like, I know that language and, it has a certain vibration, and we have, like you said, that has to be the first thing that we have to do to make the necessary changes. But I'm hoping that we can even get to the point where we're past language and we can just telepathically communicate with one another.
That's
Like, do you
movie.
think like that's something that, we can possibly, like, I feel like that's what we're probably even going to lead towards. Because a lot of people, I don't know, I'm speaking for myself, but like anybody else, you could comment below and let us know, like, have you noticed any of your psychic abilities or your intuition being strengthened? Like, there's a lot of people that have been telling me, especially like in my community, they've been telling me like, yo, my intuition is crazy. My dreams are crazy. I'm able to read people's thoughts. I can feel when somebody's about to call me, or I could be sitting next to somebody and I can feel their feelings or hear what they're thinking telepathically. So these telepathic abilities, some of y'all are telepathic and don't even realize you're telepathic. You could be hearing somebody say something, you'll turn around and be like, what you said? And they'd be like, oh, I ain't say nothing. Yeah, they probably was thinking some shit about you and you picked up on that and your spirit gave you that message. You were supposed to hear that.
Facts.
Don't ignore that. Your intuition's going to be strong right now, real strong.
Oh yeah, most definitely. We in that time period right now where these, that DNA activation is activating certain parts of the neural synapses. Like I said, because the sun cycle is acclimated to right knowledge. You're going to activate that right brain. That's the Christ consciousness. So, like I said, these abilities is what you're talking about is going to heighten. So don't be scared of it. Don't be scared of it, and then start going to church. Embrace it. That's a part of you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you got all these afflictions that's taking place in real time. So on October 1st, it's talking about how there's going to be shippers scramble for workarounds ahead of looming United States East Coast port strike. So they're basically going on strike, and that's basically going to destabilize the great majority of production and distribution all around the planet. And these are the potential ports that you see. You got Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Baltimore. All these places are going to be going on strike. So I'm going to show you a video for a second. Because these new energies, like I said, it's another form of destabilization. Because the black hats, they got to create black swan events to put you in a state of emotionalism, fight or flight.
On strike. The strike is set for October 1st, so you better share this with everyone. Because if our ports close, everything we depend on closes with it. Let's talk about what would happen within the month of October. On day one, international fuel shipments are the first to feel the impact. Crude oil tankers stuck offshore means no new fuel entering refineries. By the end of the day, concerns spread across industries as gas stations, trucking companies, and airlines brace for immediate shortages. Everything from fuel to imported goods is at risk, but fuel becomes the most critical loss. By day 3, gas stations are starting to run dry and rationing begins. Prices surge as demand skyrockets. Without fuel, trucks can't deliver goods, and the first shortages show up in grocery stores. Businesses relying on imported oil, like refineries, scramble to maintain operations with whatever reserves they have left. The ripple effect starts to hit home. No fuel means no transportation, and without transportation, the flow of goods stops. Day 7, the energy crisis takes hold. Within the first week, the impact of fuel shortage deepens. Trucks, trains, and ships that move essential supplies across the country slow to a halt. Agriculture and manufacturing are crippled, unable to operate without fuel for machinery and transportation. Airlines begin canceling flights and public transportation services are cut. Gas prices hit all-time highs as panic buying intensifies. By week 2, the power grid struggles and collapse looms. Power plants that rely on imported fuel start to struggle and blackouts spread as they ration what's left. People begin hoarding fuel and chaos erupts at the pumps. The stock market plummets as industries reliant on global supply chains begin to crumble. The economy falters and unemployment skyrockets as factories close and businesses shutter. By week 4, total breakdown of society. By the end of the month, the energy crisis and fuel shortages bring society to its knees. Cities erupt into fuel riots, and law enforcement is overwhelmed. With no fuel, food distribution collapses, and starvation becomes a real threat. Communities are left to fend for themselves as fuel reserves dry up completely, leaving transportation, emergency services, and the economy in ruins. Without ports, crude oil can't get in. Without crude oil, fuel can't be made. Without fuel, everything grinds to a halt. When the fuel stops, America stops. And just so we're clear, this could all happen within the month of October. APM.
So everything we're seeing right now is basically the blueprint for the October surprise. And like I said, it's all acclimated to the cosmic energy grid system that works in tandem with the electrical grid. So if the grid goes down, that is basically going to be the precursor to your 90 days of darkness, 10 days of darkness. This is why, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to be an election. So all this stuff, these celestial alignments is also acclimated to what's taking place right now, because when you go all the way back into the April 8th solar eclipse, it went through 9 cities called Nineveh. And then when you go to Jonah chapter 3, verse 4, it says, Nineveh shall be overthrown. Nineveh is another title for America. Jonah means dove when you break down the etymology. And that dove, it represents an ascension process, ascending from the old patriarchal energies that subjugated the matriarch. So everything that you see and taking place right now is a form of prophecy. Then you also got Donald Trump. He's talking about, the economic crisis.
So my specific question is, would you strengthen or modify any of these economic sanctions programs, particularly Russia, including the pipeline you mentioned?
Well, it's a great question. The problem with what we have with sanctions, and I was a user of sanctions, but I put them on and take them off as quickly as possible, because ultimately it kills your dollar and it kills everything the dollar represents, and we have to continue to have that be the world currency. I think it's important. I think it would be losing a war if we lost the dollar as the world currency. I think that would be the equivalent of losing a war. That would make us a third world country, and we can't let it happen. So I use sanctions very powerfully against countries that deserve it, and then I take them off. Because look, you're losing Iran, you're losing Russia. China is out there trying to get their currency to be the dominant currency, as you know better than anybody. All of these things are happening. You're losing so many countries because there's so much conflict with all of these countries that you're going to lose that, and we can't lose that. So I want to use sanctions as little as possible.
Then we also just had 159 countries drop the American dollar. And then, all throughout ancient history, I think it was 182 fiat currencies that was created, and they all failed. And they all failed due to the falling of certain ancient civilizations. So that's why, the Greeks and the Romans, they always said, they propagated the ideology that it was a bad omen because they knew that their time was up. So all these solar eclipses it's all acclimated to the transitional shift of the economic infrastructure, the financial infrastructure, the geopolitical aspect of it. It affects the ecology of the planet. Everything has to go back into its original state by the laws of Mayat. Everything has to go back into balance.
Right.
What do you have to say about those 2 videos?
So to add on to what you just said, right? Like how the money is going to be the economy. The economy, right? Like it deals with Venus. Like Libra is synchronized with Venus. Venus is synchronized with relationships, money, wealth, passions, pleasure. Now, listen, the money, the fact that this Libra new moon is also going to be an eclipse. Eclipse is talking about eclipsing what? Eclipsing the idea of money, eclipsing our relationship to money. So those who, let's say people who just been living for money, we've heard like in several, history repeats itself. If you don't know your history, you're going to be doomed to repeat it. And
Right.
if we look at the history of America, right, like every so and so years, like there's an economic shift, but it's been building up to what's happening now. What me and Bedell is saying is that this is not just going to be the regular recession or, like they've always been claiming all these years. This is actually going to be the big thing that shifts everything. Like this is it. This is what all of the conspiracy theorists been talking about. Like it's finally here.
And we in that
And
time.
right, we in that time. So now it's like if you've been having money problems, it's a reason why you've been having money problems because spirit, the universe, consciousness, the all, whatever name you want to put on this almighty being, right? Is making you realize that money is not everything. And if you put your life and your blood and hopes and tears into money and you living just for that, you're about to wake up to a rude awakening. This is why a lot of people have been also changing their jobs and occupations lately. People that's been, let's say, going to school to become a lawyer or a doctor, just be like, you know what? I don't want to do this. I want to be an actress. I want to be an artist. I want to be, I want to talk about consciousness. Like people are waking up now and realizing that life is more than just going to school to get good grades, to get a good job and live your whole entire life in debt. It's more to life than that. And that's what the end is, right? The end of that prison of being trapped in this economy, this capitalistic society. Yes.
Yep, because how you ever met somebody that made like their job their personality trait? Like, like people with high paying jobs. So if you one of those people, if your job is your personality trait because you make 200,000 a year, you got to understand something. When we go through these transitional shifts, everything basically shuts down. It's a form of destabilization. So what is your purpose if you're not making that amount of money because your job don't exist no more? Because like I was telling you before, it's going to cause a destabilization within the factions of the trucking industry, and there's going to be a trickle down effect that's going to take place. So a lot of businesses and companies is going to shut down. So if your purpose is for you to think that you're supposed to be working a 9 to 5 job, I'm sorry to say, because like I said, if this whole system shuts down, you're going to be forced to go within. You're going to be forced to tap into your purpose, especially. And if you don't have a purpose, this is where you're going to go crazy. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I said that there's a delineation between chosen ones and those who are basically bots and NPCs of the Matrix. You got some people, they're basically implants of chaos to carry out this illusion. They, you know what I'm saying? They want to keep working. They want to work for 40, 50, 60 years and retire. I ain't got time for that shit. You know what I'm saying? There's a higher purpose that's beyond that, that third dimensional reality.
I totally agree with
Yeah.
you. And I think you have put out a video that was saying that chosen ones are not meant to work a 9 to 5, right? Like we're not meant to be stuck behind a cubicle or a computer sitting at a desk. Like we're not built for. You got to realize that you are a God. You are a generator, operator, and destroyer of your reality, right? Like your mind creates this reality. They know how powerful you are. You have to tap into this. And when your DNA starts activating, I'm telling you, matter of fact, family, listen, you got to ask yourself this question, right? What would you do if money did not exist? If it did not matter, what would you be doing with your life? Y'all can comment below and let us know, but just ask this question or ask, your friends, your family, like this is a conversation starter. So people can start to shift their mind around, what would I be doing if I didn't worry about money? What if money didn't exist? What would I be doing? I remember I asked my Uber driver that. I always have the best conversations with my Uber drivers, yo. I remember one time I just asked him, I'm like, what would you do if money didn't exist? And he was like, yo, nobody ever asked me that question. I never thought about that. Like an older dude, he was probably like in his 50s. And he was like, yo, this really changed my mind. He was like, now I'm really starting to think like, what would I do if money did not exist? It really changes your whole paradigm. So do that, family. Think about that for a moment. What would you be doing?
Man, that's crazy that you said that because, you really got people, they think that their purpose is to play basketball, play football, be a doctor, be a lawyer. All these is three-dimensional ideologies that's connected to the binary code system of the matrix. They're basically a number. They're a number they're an agent to carry out certain agendas to keep the illusion going.
Facts.
So your purpose is basically, it's an artificial construct. It don't really exist because the material plane in itself is an illusion. So, only, during this time period, like, let's just say the energy grid shuts down completely right now. The true speakers are the ones who have a true purpose. Healers, herbalists, people who's able to tap into certain energies to basically revitalize, a lot of people's problems. You know what I'm saying? During the time period when everything is, afflicted. So, like I said, we living in a time right now, we have to tap into our true divine purpose. Your purpose is not to be, making 100,000 a year at your job. That don't really mean nothing. So we living in a time right now, like I said, you gotta, be very serious, with yourself and about, in case certain things happen, like how is, the universe gonna utilize me during the time, when the planet is going through a transitional shift and everything is going through a state of chaos. How can I be utilized in the fourth quarter? It's kind of like the same thing. Like if I can't utilize you in the fourth quarter, I'm going to have you on the bench.
Right.
So the same thing. The Most High has chosen people, and He's going to utilize them in the fourth quarter. We in that time period. We in the final stages of the Great Awakening period.
The most important time. He's going to get his MVPs, his most valuable players up there.
Facts.
Right. That's what we are. For real. Like this
Right.
to kind of talk a little bit more on the 9 to 5 thing, right? Like some of y'all are also going to realize that the universe or spirit will either move that job out of your life, especially if you're too attached to it. Like you got to realize that some people, like B-Del said, like if you're not meant to work a 9 to 5 and you're trying to force it, because we're human beings, so we have free will, we can still do whatever we want. It doesn't mean that you're not going to be met with resistance, right? Because spirit just has a way, our higher self, our guardian angel, whatever name you want to put on it, has a way of redirecting us. If you keep getting blocked in a certain place, right? Sometimes the rejection is actually a blessing in disguise. So whenever, let's say, a job gets canceled, don't think like, oh, somebody hexed me, oh, the universe is against me, I'm having money problems, what's going on? Like in that moment, you just have to be still, meditate, pray, or whatever it is that you want to do, like talk to your higher self. For me, what I do is when I'm overwhelmed and I need to really just focus and hone in on my thoughts and connect with my guides, my ancestors, I go into a dark room. I turn off everything so I don't have any type of stimulation, right? I get stimulated easily. I'm sensitive to energy. Turn off all electronics and I tap in and I ask spirit the question and then the answer comes to me. So I'm just sharing that with y'all. If, that may help you to come with answers, but just like you, right? Like I had a 9 to 5 too. I had a 9 to 5 when I was in 2015. Had a good city job in New York. And for those who, come from nothing, my family come from poverty. So all my family was happy. They like, you made it, you got a city job, you good, you just got to be there for like 20, 30 years, like B-Del said, and you'll be good. And I'm like, 30 years doing the same thing. I'm like, I don't know. I'm a life path number 5. I can't, I don't like that. I need change. I need travel and movement. I can't be stuck in one place, And so spirit moved me out of there. But listen, family, you got to be courageous enough to trust spirit and trust yourself to know that spirit will never let you fall or fail. I had to trust my intuition and know that this job wasn't for me. I woke up every morning crying because I didn't want to go to work. That's how bad it was. It was the same thing. It was like living the same day every day, B-Del. And I felt like a drone. That's how I felt. I felt like a drone like everybody else. I felt like an NPC. Mm-hmm. And I looked around me one day in the office and I'm like, yo, I looked at the other people working there. I'm like, yo, I don't want to be like that. They look washed up, miserable, lifeless. That's going to be me in 20 years. Hell no. I looked over to my right. I told my homeboy, yo, I ain't never coming back here again. He thought I was playing. Never. That was it. Never. The last time I had a job in 2015, ain't have a job since. This is what I do full time. Spirit won't let me get a job. Spirit's like, oh, you think you're going to apply for a job? Absolutely not. This is
Right.
your purpose, stick to it. So I can't do anything else, right? Like be that, like this is our purpose. So spirit, it aligns for us.
Mhm.
And this is why those who are meant to do this, when people try to come in your way or block you, spirit will handle them. There will be envy and jealousy when you're elevating, because you've been doing the shadow work and the work and elevating your DNA. And when the drones, family members, friends start seeing you elevating, and you might be the black sheep of your family. Everybody slept on you. Now you rising up. You was last. Now you first. They're gonna hate on you. Be very careful and cautious. Like B-Del said, make your choices, make your decision, choose your team, because now it's about to get crazy.
Facts, man. But yeah, we what you said, man, that it was very enlightening. I appreciate you, you know what I'm saying, giving that breakdown on that. And we're gonna do a cosmic convergence intergalactic reading about the collective. She's gonna share
Yes.
some at the end. So we can get it, we can tap into that right now.
Oh, you ready to do
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Okay, cool. So, family, before we even do that, I want to just say that in 2020, before all of this stuff went down, right? Like me and the Divine Royalty family, we do our monthly rituals. And our rituals are powerful because one, doing a ritual by yourself is powerful, but when you do it with a collective, it's changing, life changing, and it shifts dimensions. And I want to mention that in 2020, during the Aries moon, we actually did a ritual for protection of our families, right? Like Divine Royalty family, the chosen ones. And we also did a defensive magic spell to fight back these powers, the same powers that they use to keep you asleep and keep you in prison and keep you trapped and blocked. Is the same power that we can tap into, because energy is not bad, it's not good, it's just energy. Fire is not bad, it's not good. Fire can burn down a village, fire can cook a meal and keep people warm when it's cold. So it's all how you use it. So for those who are interested in being into something powerful, a powerful movement, just like we made shifts in 2020, after we did that, that's when a lot of the celebrity stuff started coming up. That's what it kind of like expedited the awakening. It expedited the fall of Babylon and the Matrix. So if you want to be a part of something powerful, we do have a powerful ritual coming up for the full moon in Aries. It's going to be a super moon, by the way, in October. This is Hoodoo Heritage Month, the mystical month. So if you want to be a part of this ritual family, make sure that you check out my link. Beta will give you the links and all of that. He'll drop it below. But we do our monthly rituals. And if you guys want to stay tuned, you can subscribe to that. But we're going to have a ritual around October 17th is the super full moon, Aries moon. And we're going to be protecting ourselves as well as fighting back against those who try to fight against us. And so that the true heirs can reign where they belong and take their seat on their throne. Ashe, okay. All right, Vidal. So we're going to do this, right? So first of all, family, I want to just say that I am an oracle. I am a channeler, and I do channel intergalactic beings, as well as those who have passed on, the realm of the dead, as well as the higher realms and the celestial spirits. So for right now, we're not going to be channeling the dead or the past on. We're going to be channeling intergalactic higher beings to see what messages that they have for those who are tuned in right now, as far as the energies that's hitting the planet and what can you do? Because we believe in solutions and not just focusing on the problems, right, family? Whatever we focus on, we amplify. So I give thanks to the Great Spirit. I give thanks to my ancestors. I give thanks to the guardian spirits of the four winds and the four directions. May you protect us and shield us from all evil and harm as we do this reading. Ashe. May the intergalactic family assist us. May Jehudi open up the way and intellectual our minds so that we can tap into these higher frequencies. Ashe. So I'm using tarot, family, okay? And at this time, something is hitting my spirit, and the spirit is saying that this is the time where you're going to have to become who you really are. You're going to have to shed those layers. You're going to have to shed the parts of you that doesn't matter anymore. And it's going to be painful. It's going to hurt, but you have to let that side of you go. Oh my God, the Two of Swords. Is there a way you could blow up the make my thing bigger, Beto, so they can actually see it? Or no? If not, don't worry about it. Because I want them to see the card so they can see what's happening here. Now, perfect. Thank you so much. Now, look, it's a little bit of a glare, but you guys can see it's a Two of Swords. You see the two women facing each other. Now, Two of Swords that's coming up. Swords represents intellect, the air energy, right? Libra represents air. Now, you have to be really careful because This eclipse is going to create a lot of chaos, a lot of confusion, a lot of arguments with our family, with our friends, with those who are closest to us, because people are going to be losing their mind. Remember, air, the swords, is synchronized with the mind, intellect, the tongue, and speech. So be very careful about what you're saying. Don't speak too quickly about your hopes and dreams, okay? And try to keep your plans under wraps, because right now, during the dark moon cycle, is not the time when you want to speak things into existence, but you want to plant the seed, right? Now, another card that comes up is the Seven of Swords, family. Now, I want to just say Seven of Swords is an omen about betrayal. Be very careful. Listen, chosen ones. As you are shining in your light and you're shining in your truth, you got to understand that your light will attract moths to a flame. Just because you are shining bright and you are attractive doesn't mean that you're going to attract goodness to you. As you elevate your frequency, you're going to attract all different types of energies and entities to you. And some entities may not necessarily be human. Some people may be getting contacted by their star family, intergalactic family that you come from. Okay. Oh.
Hold on, I'm bringing it back up.
Okay. I'm like, what just happened? Because the cards just popped out. You say you're bringing it back up, or?
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna just leave it up.
Oh, it's up to you. If you want to put it down, did you want to put up the other thing? It's up to you.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Alrighty. So the other card that comes out, now listen, I'm channeling cards, I'm channeling spirit, but cards is coming out to tell a story, right? So you guys can visually see what it is that I'm saying. Now, when it comes to the Four of Wands, right? Spirit is saying, remember how me and B dealt this whole entire lecture, we was talking about how this Libra energy is talking about relationships. Now, when we see this, we see what? Family, union, relationship, the household. Four deals with foundations. So you got to be really cautious because, right, the foundation of your family, the foundation of your home, the foundation of your passions and what you built it upon may be shifting right now. You might not have interest in things that you once liked before because you're growing and outgrowing that old person that you was. As we go through this portal of the solar eclipse, we're literally going through the alchemical fire and is shedding the layers of who we used to be. It's called a human sacrifice. You're sacrificing your human-like self to become a god again, to remember who you are. You're remembering your truth. Your subconscious mind is coming online. Confirmation, the high priestess comes up. The high priestess is an energy. Now listen, high priestess represents Osset, wisdom, the great spirit, the great mother, okay, the feminine energy. She's coming with this lunar energy, okay, because she's coming right now to pretty much set the record straight to kill this toxic patriarchy that's been going on. And there's also some toxic feminine energy too. So toxic femininity, toxic masculinity, all of this hate, men against women, right? It's a lot of divide that's happening right now. And that goes back to our point of the Two of Swords. So in order for us to let go of this divide, this shift is happening, the breaking down. This is the Tower card. You see that tower falling? Well, guys, you can look this up yourself, right? Like, what I think if you guys are interested in learning about tarot, there's a really good book called 40 Degrees of Wisdom. 72 Degrees of Wisdom. I have the book next to me. I don't know where it's at, but anyway, the book is called here it goes. The 78 Degrees of Wisdom. If you want to learn about tarot, it breaks down the science of it and everything so you guys can learn, okay? For those who are interested in learning tarot, and I also teach tarot if you're interested in learning about that. Now, family, listen, one thing I will say, the death card, don't get scared, y'all. Y'all see Anpu, the psychopomp? Now, Anpu Anubis, he is known to help souls to transition and travel. So Anpu is an energy, you can say, right? Like these guardians that come in to help you to transition from this 3D dimension or this third dimension into the higher dimensions. As you're going through these ascension symptoms, getting nauseous, going through mood swings, having headaches, having body aches, feeling tired all the time, just weird things that's happening to you that you may not be able to understand, going to the doctor and they can't find out what's happening. It's spiritual ascension symptoms. Your DNA is turning on. It takes a little bit of time for your physical body to catch up, but the soul and the spirit evolves first, as above, so below, as within, so without. As you are changing inside, your physical body may start to show it. So you may start to be more attractive or start to be more confident in yourself. You might look in the mirror and be like, hold on, wait a minute. Kind of shook today. Oh, you know, like you might be feeling yourself. And that's okay, because Libra deals with beauty, attraction, right? Soak in that energy, pull in that energy, harness that energy. Why not be more magnetic and charming and manifest what you want and desire, right? So, family, this is the energy now where you have the full power to be who you want to be. Like B. Dell said, make your choice. Whose side are you on? Karma is going to come now, and everything that you've been doing, if you've been helping people, healing people, now is the time where all of the good things is about to come. You're about to get your awards. You're about to get your like, if you feel like you have been slept on and nobody has been acknowledging your efforts, you are about to be rewarded. The chosen ones are about to be rewarded. Understand? Oh my God. Yeah. So the last card I'm gonna give y'all is the Lovers. The Lovers is coming up. These are good cards. Now, I want to just say the Lovers is all about the choice. Now, people think it's just about romance, but when you go deeper, right? Like, even though I said tarot is not for psychic readings, these are higher principle readings. I want y'all guys to check it out. Y'all got homework. Y'all know I give y'all homework. Those who are my students, you know you got homework to do. Go and study what these cards mean, the cards that came out in this live. And I want you to see how they correlate, these higher principles correlate with you, your spiritual journey. That's what the tarot was used for, to help you elevate, to activate your DNA. By studying and focusing on the symbols of these cards, you can activate certain meridians in your subconscious mind so that you can remember who you are. Remember your purpose. Remember why you're here. So it's a beautiful time. And the Lovers card is about union and coming together. So be prepared to start meeting other chosen ones and other conscious people. Some people might actually be in a relationship for years and fall out of love with their partner, be like, you know what? They're not elevated. I'm not attracted to you anymore. Libra deals relationships. They might actually find their true partner in this time. I find that during these eclipses and even during this Libra new moon, new beginnings, new relationships. So you might find your new divine masculine, your new divine feminine, your twin flame. I don't really like that term, but you're the person who, your life partner who is going to help you elevate. Because me personally, I don't believe in soulmates. I feel like we choose our partner, and we can have several soulmates, but it's ultimately, life is difficult. So who do you feel you want as your partner who's going to make it worth it? Right? Life is going to be hard anyway. So let's go through this together. You know, we're on the same frequency. We understand each other. We got similar missions, so we could work together. So now with this decision being made, right? If you with somebody or in part of a tribe or whatever, and you feel like your mission and their goals or whatever is not in alignment, by you lowering your frequency, right? This is them. This is you. Now, in order to meet them, you got to come down here. But that's stopping you from where you need to go. You still got to go higher. So now you got to make the choice. Do I want to stay in this relationship, you know, just for this person, for the sake of saving face? What if our families think about this? What will my friends think about this? Now is the time when you got to make your own decisions. What do you think about this? What do you want in this, right? This relationship, this job, or whatever. You might have to leave it. Right? Some relationships are going to go through some changes right now. So just be prepared for that, family, and don't fight the energy, right? Like, eclipses will show you if it's time to end something, it's time to end something. If it's time to end this relationship, it's over. If it's time to end this job, it's time to leave. If it's time to move from this neighborhood, this area, it's time to go. So I want to just say, family, Spirit is saying at this time, choose you, make a decision, live for yourself, and remember, you have the tools and the power to tap into your magic, to tap into your DNA. Don't just sit there and focus on the problems. Take control of your life and act on solutions. That's what we're about. We're always solution oriented. So once again, join us on the full moon as we do this ritual to kickstart this energy and expedite the Great Awakening. Ashe.
I say.
Ashe. This was fun. Thank you so much, B-Del, for having me on your channel. Oh
I
my
appreciate it. And hey,
goodness.
make sure y'all hit the Queen's Cash App, man. Give them your cash
Oh,
app.
I'll give you my links. I'll give you
Okay.
my just the $ Conjure Queen. But I'll give B-Del the link so he can just put all of my links and you guys can follow my YouTube as well. Conjure Queen, and I'm on Instagram as well. I am Conjure Queen. So yeah.
Appreciate you. But it was
Appreciate you.
it was nice connecting with you. You know what I'm saying? You know, we came together, the divine feminine and divine masculine, to cultivate this edification, to bring clarity about the solar eclipse that's taking place. So because everything that's taking place right now is very important. So stay vigilant, be very meticulous, pay attention to your surroundings, be aware. End of transmission.
Peace.
Peace.
10, 14.
I'm about to call you.